everyone, and welcome to my harmony tutorial. I always wished when I was starting out with UTAU that there was some kind of tutorial for harmony, but I was never able to find one that made any sense to me. A lot of people would just say, do what sounds good to you, which doesn't really help if you don't know what sounds good, while others would just throw a bunch of music theory jargon at you, and for me being a beginner in music, that wasn't really helpful either. So, the aim of this tutorial is to explain how to create harmony as simply as I can explain it. There's going to be some music theory involved, but I'm going to try to explain everything as simply as I can. So I hope it helps you on your music journey. So let's get right into it. By the way, I'm using OpenUTAU here, but you can transfer this knowledge to any vocal synth or music software with a piano roll. So, what is harmony? I would personally explain harmony as two or more notes playing at once that sound good together, but like I was saying before, how do we know what sounds good? So before we go any further, I'm going to explain a little bit of music theory. In music, most songs have what's referred to as a key and a scale. So a song could be in the key of C or the key of G, for example, and in the major scale or the minor scale or the pentatonic scale or whatever. The possibilities are virtually endless. So, what are keys and scales? Well, let's start with scales. I don't want to stuff too much theory into this, so let's just stick to the major scale, which I think is the most common scale. A scale is basically a set of intervals between notes. Let's look at this piano here. I'll link to the site in the description down below. It's really useful. The key here is C, and the scale is major. As you can see, these 7 white notes are selected. When you go up a note on the piano like this, boop, that's a half step. When you go up 2 notes on the piano like this, boop, boop, that's called a whole step. I'm not sure why that is, but let's just roll with it. The major scale is made up of this pattern. Whole step, half step, because there's no notes in between, whole step, whole step, whole step, and then half step back to the root note, which in this case is C. Don't feel like you have to memorize all this right away. You'll remember the notes and intervals naturally as you continue working with keys. For the sake of this tutorial, we click the funny key button, we click the funny scale button, and we get the display up here, so wahoo. So for this tutorial, I'm going to take the verse of my song, A Longing for a World I've Not Known, and create a few different types of harmony for you. So this is what the verse sounds like.
I am safer here in this world underground.
Let's get right into making some harmony. So first things first, we have to find out what key our song is in. Here's how I usually find the key, assuming we're in the major scale, as a big majority of songs are in Western music. Now I know what I said about memorization and everything earlier, but remember the intervals from before, the whole steps and half steps? That's going to be super helpful here. I typically look for areas in the song where there's a half step because one of those notes is possibly the key. Here we have E and D sharp, and here we have G sharp and A. One of these 4 notes is the note our key is based around. We can go through this website and look at the different keys. Like this one, like this one, like this one, or this one. And we can compare that with the piano roll and all the notes on it. And surprise, it's E. Here's another trick you can use to find the key. See how all the notes kind of come back to E here? Like it starts on E, and it looks like it finishes on E. Everything kind of hovers around E for the most part. Kind of hard to explain, but that's just another trick you can use. Melodies will typically, but not always, hover around the root note, and there's some theory behind that, but we're not going to get into that today. Anyway, we found the key, so now what? We're going to get to making some harmonies. There's 2 main types of intervals I'm going to teach you today. First off is the third. Basically, take the note you want to harmonize to and leave 1 gap in the key between it and the harmony note. Make sure to stay in the key though. So we'll go up. F doesn't count though because it's not in the key. And then skip this one, the one in the key. This one's not in the key, it doesn't count. And then we land on G sharp. So for this, we left a gap between E and G sharp. In music theory, this creates what's called a major third, because there's 3 notes total, 1, 2, 3, including the ones not in the key, between the melody note and the note we're using to harmonize. If we do this with, say, this D sharp over here, skip E, this one doesn't count, land on F sharp. We did the same thing as before, but this time we get what's called a minor third because there's only 2 total notes between the melody note and the harmony note. So for a major third or a minor third, what you get depends on how many notes out of the key you have to skip in addition to the notes in the key, if that makes sense. There's probably a better way to explain this, but that's just how I do it. Here's another type of harmony, the fourth. Basically, take your melody note and leave 2 gaps in the key. So for our E note over here, we take it and go up in the key. F doesn't count, skip the F sharp. G doesn't count, skip the G sharp, which would give us a major third. And then we land on A. This is called a perfect fourth in music theory because there's 4 total notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, between the melody note and the harmony note. There's more types of intervals you can use to get many different effects, but if you're starting out and don't know what sounds good yet, I recommend starting with all these. Now let's use what we've learned to make a harmony above the melody. Now I think I've just got thirds here, but if you want to, you can go in and mix it up a little by adding some perfect fourths so it sounds nicer. But just do it sounds good. And I know what I said before, but just do it sounds good. I believe in you. So this is the result.
I am safer here in this world underground.
And now for lower harmonies, it's the same thing, just count backwards. Important thing to note, make sure that your pitch bends are not going out of the key. So for example, I forgot to lower these. And that's in the key. And then this is not in the key. So it can alter your harmony and make it not sound very great. So don't forget to do that like I did. Also pay attention to where your pitch bends are in the melody. For example, the here over here has the pitch bend kind of in front of this note here, but if I go into the high harmony, because I moved everything, it ends up being way down here for some reason because I moved this note up. So yeah, move your pitch bends. Otherwise you'll end up like me. Also, don't forget to change the volume of your harmony so that it doesn't overpower the melody. This is the result.
I am safer here in this world underground.
And now all together.
I am safer here in this world underground.
Well, that's it. I hope this tutorial was informative and helpful for you. If it was, be sure to leave a like as it really helps me out, and feel free to comment if you have any questions. I'll do my best to answer. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.